before we begin, this video is sponsored by Manscaped. They've just launched the Lawnmower 3.0 in the Republic of Ireland. You could be one of the first people to get this product. It is perfect for when you're trying to trim those hairs down below, and also it comes with an LED light, so it allows you to find those rougher edges a lot smoother. And obviously it works in the shower, so it is waterproof, so you can use it down there. But you don't always have to just get that product. There's lots of other products on their website at manscaped.com. Use the code IFFTV for 20% off and free shipping. Check it out in the description.
Hello, McIntyre's Football Fan TV. It's the live watch along. Everton against Sheffield Wednesday from Goodison Park. Seamus Coleman starting at right back and captain in Everton. I'm joined by Gary Spain. Gary, how is your weekend going?
Oh, pretty good, Paul. Yeah, all well. You can't do much in the lockdown, but just getting out and getting a bit of exercise and doing the shopping, and that's about it, I suppose. And watching the live sport on TV, football and rugby actually this weekend.
It's the saving grace to live sport, isn't it? Because I remember the first lockdown was a nightmare. Although it was sunny, that was the only advantage, is you could go out and do stuff a lot easier. Like at the moment, it's hard with the snow and stuff like that. To do stuff. I don't know what it's like in Knockline in terms of the snow at the moment, but I've been seeing pictures and videos all over Dublin, all over social media of the snow and stuff like that. I think more so over the north side, it's a lot worse than over this side. But obviously we're close to the mountains, myself and yourself. So what's it been like up your way?
Yes, we had a bit of snow, but it hasn't really stuck. So I mean I was out for a walk and fine, and I didn't find, well, this was this afternoon, but I didn't find the path slippy or anything like that. So it was caught in a bit of a snow shower, but it was light enough, didn't really matter, you know. So we haven't seen the worst of it. Just go back to your point about the live sport and TV. I think it is very important in this lockdown. We're asking people to stay at home and everything, and I think it's great that there is so much to watch, and you need things on TV because, as you say, in the last one, the weather was great and it was sunny, but there was nothing on. I mean, you were watching live streams from Belarus if you wanted to watch any live sport, you know. So it's good to have the sport continuing, and I hope, obviously we're going to be waiting a few weeks for our own football to come back, but it's great that football is continuing across the water and around Europe.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, it was the Bundesliga that came back then eventually on the telly that we could all watch. And we remember we were having that was the start of the watch-alongs essentially, and we were just doing that, and we were all watching different games and stuff like that. We're actually going to bring that back this week, so there'll be games during the week that we'll be doing almost like a soccer Saturday thing during the week, where two of us will be on talking about watching two different games at the same time. I think you'll be watching Sheffield United and Manchester United on Wednesday, and I'll be watching Everton and Leicester. Or you can watch Everton and Leicester as well if you want, but it's just because it gives you...
Yeah, no, I'll watch Sheffield United and have a look at the Irish players, yeah.
Just a couple of comments have come in there. Conor Vanton says, hi. David Salter says, hi all. Ush Bosch says, all right lads. And then David Salter says, 60k, Seamus Coleman. And then Connor says, who won the giveaway? Good question, Connor. I actually have to do that right now. So I'm going to ask Gary a question. I'm going to get him to elaborate on the question. And then while he's doing that, I'm going to do the giveaway right here on my phone, live. I have to go into random comment picker just to do that, but I do have to do that. So thanks for reminding me.
On Insta, according to Connor. Yeah, so.
Yeah, no, I just have to pick out two winners basically, and then they win a free jersey. So bear with me there. But just obviously, Seamus Coleman is starting here. It's been a bit of a stop-start season for Seamus. Like obviously with injuries and stuff like that, he started off the season brilliantly. Then he got a minor hamstring at the start against Brighton, and then he picked it up again. The same injury in Ireland training, when we were due to play England that time, or when we did play England that time, sorry. But he was due to play. But Everton are looking to bring in a world-class right back to play there, long term. Not that Seamus is bad or anything like that, because everybody knows I love Seamus Coleman. But Everton are looking to bring in someone who can play there long term. And we were speaking off air about someone, Seamus's age, he's 32 now, I think. and he could be 31. But to play that position, you need, it's a young man's game basically to play that position. I think if you're playing him as a defensive fullback, that's fine. He could play there until he was 37, 38. But what you need to play that position now is legs and getting about the pitch, and also being able to get back and defend as well. I mean, I'm looking at him now. He's very, like, he's trying to get up the pitch, but 5-6 years ago, Seamus Coleman would be bolting up like Andy Robertson or Trent Alexander-Arnold. But what are your thoughts kind of on him now, and kind of, do you think it'd be wise for him to stay at Everton in the longer run, as maybe like a backup player comes in every couple of games, kind of the way Leighton Baines has kind of done, or do you think he could go somewhere maybe where he would be maybe first choice priority rightful and playing more in a defensive team? What would be the way you would look at that?
Yeah, you see, it's a tough one, and you need to look at what Seamus wants. But as we were saying off air, as you said there, it is, particularly for the bigger teams, it is very much the fullback's now one of the most crucial positions in football. So, and as you say, you need to get up and down the pitch. You need a great engine on you. And it is more for somebody who's 22, 23, 24 than in their early 30s, as Seamus is. So I suppose the options are, as you say, he could stay and become the backup and still get quite a bit of time. Maybe another example could be Cesar Azpilicueta at Chelsea, who has been at Chelsea for quite a few years, is one of the top defenders in Europe, and suddenly he's fallen out of favour because there's a much younger guy ahead of him that plays in the big games. Now, he still gets some game time, I believe. I can't remember. He did play recently. I'm not sure what game he played in, but he wouldn't be first choice anymore. And now that's one option for Seamus, or he could move maybe lower down in the Premier League, maybe to a team that would be defending a lot more and wouldn't be expecting the full-backs to be pressing on, bombing forward, etc., getting up and down the line. So, I suppose from an Irish perspective, you'd like to see Seamus playing as much as possible. So maybe if he's not going to be first choice, to get a move. But I don't know the contract situation. And I mean, when did Seamus sign a new contract? It was a couple of years ago, and he signed a reasonably long term. Not sure how many years he's left, but it may make more sense for him. I mean, he has been very happy in Everton. He's captain tonight. I'm sure he'll captain them in many occasions, even if it's just in the FA Cup or the League Cup or whatever it is. But it is a tough one for Seamus and for Everton. And from an Irish perspective, I would hope Seamus would continue to play international football. I don't like the people retiring at 31, 32, 33 from international football. So I'd hope Seamus would continue to make himself available. And, I suppose time will tell. But, I don't know, Paul, what do you think yourself, or what do you think he will do?
I'd like to see him stay and win something. And, if he won the FA Cup, that would be amazing. I think that would be exactly what he wants. He's been at Everton 10 plus years now. And, he's been an unbelievable servant. And I think Everton have repaid him, and that, like when he broke his leg, they did renew his contract then. And I think he's renewed one, even a newer one since then. But, what a servant he's been. And he, if you speak to anyone involved in Everton, Ancelotti, Ferguson, not that you'd be speaking to them, but you can hear them speaking about him, when they come out in the press and stuff, and just saying how much he embodies everything that Everton is about. And I think he does that as well when he carries himself, when he's on international duty as well. You can see how much he's respected by the Ireland players, what he's done in the game in terms of, the Irish players in recent times. You'd probably say he's probably been the highest performing one over the last decade. I can't think of anyone else who would be, consistently playing at a quite high level. When he was fully fit, he was brilliant. He's one of the best right backs in the Premier League for so long. Matt Doherty came onto the scene there recently enough, in recent years, since Wolves came up, and then all of a sudden he was everybody's new shiny thing. But Seamus was a great player for so long that people tend to forget that. Do you know what I mean? And people were saying that Seamus is finished. I don't think he's by any means finished. I mean, I think what you said there was was true. I wouldn't like to see him retire from international football, because I think if we are playing a defensive type of way, I think he'd be brilliant there, and his experience is invaluable for that team. And you even look under the time when we had him, when Mick was manager and when Seamus was playing right full for us then, Mick couldn't take Seamus out of the team because he said he was a better right back than Matt Doherty. Now, right wing back, that's a different position, and that's a different, argument altogether. Matt's, in my opinion, is a better right wing back, just purely because he's younger. Oh, what a ball, James Richarlison, 1-0, get in.
It's goal. It's Richarlison, is it?
Is he offside? Ah.
He's...
It was offside.
Yeah. It seems to be disallowing it, yeah.
What a ball by James, though.
Yeah.
Let's look at this.
The flag had gone up. Yeah, it was a great ball, a great finish. He does. Yeah.
So that's still 0-0 here, guys, and I am still trying to do this. Comment.
Well, if you like, I'll do a little bit of a history lesson on Everton Sheffield Wednesday, because when I was looking at this fixture, I'll go back before I was even born, Paul. So I'll start with that. I'm not that old, but it's one I know my dad used to talk about, because the 1966 FA Cup final was Everton and Sheffield Wednesday, and it's a famous FA Cup final for a number of reasons. One of them is that, from an Everton perspective, and he's written his name into the history of the FA Cup as one of these players, Mike Trebilcock, who did very little else, with all due respect to him, in his football career. But he scored twice for Everton in an FA Cup final. They were 2-0 down to Sheffield Wednesday in the second half, and he scored twice to bring it back to 2-2, and Everton went on to get a third and win the cup. So he was a name that's kind of written into FA Cup folklore. A rare occasion the team came from 2 down to winning the FA Cup final. And it's another one, actually, that's in RTE's history books and in John Bowman's history of the art of, and it's the one that my dad talked about, and it was very, very controversial at the time, because back in those days, and living in Limerick, there was only one TV channel, which was RTE, and there was very little live football on RTE, but they always showed the FA Cup final. But unfortunately, the head of sport in RTE was very much anti-football. I'm not going to mock the dead at this stage, but he was very much an anti-football person. Didn't want to show any football. All he wanted was GAA and horse racing. And it's written in the RTE history by John Bowman that he actually basically cut from the FA Cup final to show horse racing and missed 4 of the 5 goals. And there was huge controversy. The public wrote in, and basically there were a lot of complaints, and he got a bit of a rap over the knuckles. Now, even in my childhood, I can remember that RT, because all I had as a child was RT, and it was still horse racing in GAA, but there was a little bit more football on anyway. But I know that 66 FA Cup final, it's famous for Mike Trebilcock and Everton winning the cup, but also for RTE chopping quite a lot of it out. And also the same year, actually, they didn't. So I'm not going to talk too much about that World Cup, but RT actually failed to properly cover the World Cup, and Philip Green actually covered it from the studio in Dublin. But so there's a bit of a history lesson anyway on Everton Sheffield Wednesday. I don't know if we're going to get a 3-2 tonight, but it would be pretty entertaining.
Be entertaining for you and the neutrals. Well. But yeah, I have one winner, by the way, on the competition there. So Ian Burnfish. Can you see that? Ian Burnfish. He's one winner. So the pick another.
Well done, Ian. And can I have a shout out?
He has to have the rules done. So everything that if he has all the things in the competition done, if he followed all the guidelines on it, then he's a winner. But we'll have to go and check that out. But say what you were going to say about a shout out there.
Yeah, I was going to say a shout out and say hello to David Salter, Ush Bosch, and Conor Valentine, who've all said hello as well. And yeah, we'll talk about I know Conor wants to talk about Bruno Fernandes' free kick today for Manchester United, and yeah, it was a great free kick and some win for United. I know, obviously, Man United Liverpool is a game that probably divides this country more than anything else. I know
Oh, come on now.
both clubs have fantastic support in this country, and they're obviously by far the two biggest clubs as regards Irish football fans. So obviously, it was a big win for United. A great free kick. I actually didn't watch that much of the game. I only watched the last half an hour or so. We can go on and talk about that later on, what I was watching. But I did see the free kick. It was a great goal, and certainly a huge win for United. And it's got problems. I mean, it's amazing. A month ago, you're talking about Liverpool beating Crystal Palace. Was it 7-0 just about a month ago? And you're talking about the Premier League is over and they're going to go on and dominate and win whatever. And suddenly a month later, I know you won't have any sympathy for them, Paul, but a month later, Liverpool seem to be in crisis. They're out of the FA Cup, fourth in the Premier League, and struggling. So I'm sure United fans won't have any sympathy for them either. But yeah, what a win for United. What a free kick by Bruno Fernandes. And my disappointment on the game today, and perhaps the reason I didn't start to watch it, was that Caoimhín Kelleher didn't start. I was expecting him to start because he played in the last round. I suppose Jurgen Klopp looked at it and said, it's Man United, Liverpool. And he did go with an incredibly strong side. And obviously, there's no love lost between the two clubs, and both managers desperately wanted to win it. But it's a pity now because Liverpool are out of the cup, and Caoimhín Kelleher may not get that much game time between now and the end of the season. But I suppose time will tell.
How's that not a corner? Sorry, Gary. Yeah, just the other winners. Stone DY1. So he's the other winner. So Ian Fishburne or Ian Byrne Fish, whatever way you want to say it, and Stone D1, DY1. So I'll go back and I'll put that up on Instagram when I get a chance. That they're the winner. I'll put it up on the Instagram story now, so I don't have any anybody hounding me. I'm sure the inbox is flying. Yeah, there's already someone asking who won. Yep. Just gonna put that up on the story, and then you'll have my full attention. So, Mikey K. So this is not. I'm not a United fan, but it's looking like Ole Gunnar has what it takes to manage them. I also wonder, is Pogba playing well because new contract coming up. I'll let you talk about that one, Gary. I'm just gonna pop this up in the story, and I will have my little say about Man United as well, because I think they're playing really well at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean they're playing really well. I mean they've gone top of the Premier League. They're on a great run, particularly away from home. They seem to be digging out results. I don't know how many times they've gone behind and come from behind to win. To be honest, I'm still not convinced about them. Maybe that's been a bit unfair because they're in really, really good form. And I mean, they've won again today. And but certainly Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has proven, certainly in recent weeks, and I mean he's taken a lot of criticism, but I think it's very hard to fault him at the moment with the run they're on. It would be incredible to think that a team beaten 6-1 at home by Spurs and on a terrible home run early on in the season could actually go on and win the league. But and I have said on here, I still think Manchester City will probably win the league. They'd still be my favourites to win the league, but United are in with a great shout and could well do it. So, yeah, I think he's doing a great job, and Solskjaer will certainly be around for quite a while. Paul Pogba is a funny one.
You scared the life out of me there when you said it like that. Paul Pogba. I was like, what? I thought you were talking to me.
Yeah, no, it's Paul Pogba has been playing really well for United. I'm not sure if it's in the contract situation, because Manchester United have been desperate for him to sign a contract for quite a while now. He has 18 months left in it, and normally a club wouldn't let a player of that stature run down the contract. And so I think United were hoping he'd sign a new one last summer, and I know that his agent has caused a lot of problems. I don't believe he's very popular at Old Trafford or among the Manchester United fans. But I suppose he's doing the best for his client, for his player. Pogba's still playing really well. I think he got man of the match again today, and he scored some crucial goals as well, and he's been a crucial part of this Man United revival, and he's playing really, really well, as I said. So, but I don't. What's going to happen? It's going to be a really difficult one for United if he doesn't sign the contract. And if it drags on to next summer, then he's 12 months left. His value, I don't think there's any chance they're going to sell him this window. But next summer, he'll have 12 months left in his contract. Now, I know it's COVID and there isn't a lot of money around in football, and there's a lot of clubs in financial difficulty, a lot of big clubs. So it's quite possible clubs may not be able to afford him either. But I think Man United will be absolutely desperate for him to sign a new deal. Certainly in the summer, because they'd risk losing him potentially for nothing in 2022, or even if he didn't sign a deal, they'd have a big decision to make next summer. Do you sell him? Do you sell such a quality player? But if he's not going to sign a new contract, I don't think you can let him play next season in the last year of his contract. But, well, it's what the player wants as well. Maybe he'll just sit tight. So, yeah, it's a worrying one, I think, for Manchester United and for Manchester United fans. I don't think he's playing well to get a new contract. I think there is definitely a very generous contract. There has to be on the table. And I think United will be desperate for him to sign a contract. But it looks like he may want out. That's my reading of it anyway. I don't know, Paul, what do you think?
I don't know. I think it's more his agent just acting up. I think Solskjaer has really galvanised that squad, and I think that shows with some of the players, the likes of Pogba, even Luke Shaw. He's playing unbelievable at the moment. Really like the way he's been playing at the moment. Maybe that's because I play left back and I have a real appreciation for left backs, but I just think he's been brilliant the last few weeks, especially. What he's done with Maguire, because it wasn't that long ago he was deemed to be a liability, and he's got the best out of him. De Gea hasn't made any real blunders in a while. I know Henderson was in goal today, but De Gea has been, I suppose, back to normal. Rashford looks really, really well off that left-hand side today. And they just look like more of a team. I know that everybody keeps saying it on the telly and stuff like that. Oh, they're all hugging and stuff like that. But they actually look like a team for the first time since probably Ferguson took over. Like when Moyes was there, Van Gaal, Mourinho. They just didn't look like a team. They just didn't look like they played for each other, and obviously Fernandes in there as well. I think you have the players that Solskjaer has brought in as well to kind of allow Pogba to have that free role rather than maybe being that midfielder that does everything. If you just kind of let him kind of be his own man, I think he prefers that, and he does that with France. He does that a lot with France. So he has Conte, and I don't know, he had Matt Tweedy and all these players who always used to kind of just let him do his own thing. And then he was able to get, play to his best abilities for France and stuff like that. So I think Solskjaer's been able to, I suppose, accommodate him. And people say, well, is he that good because he needs to be accommodated? But he is one of those players. He's a luxury player. And when you see him on form, he's unbelievable, as you've seen in the last few weeks. But I actually didn't think that Manchester United would be anywhere near the top of the league this season. And to see them where they are, you have to give credit to the manager and, fair play to him. Has it been a case if everyone else has been so that bad? I think so as well, because you look at where Everton are at the table, and I don't think Everton have been great at all, but they're still up near the top four. Spurs are nearly there. Leicester have been good. I still don't think they're, they're a bit of a media darling at the moment. I don't think they're as good as people are making them out to be. But anyway, look, I just think he's done a good job at Manchester United so far. I think people forget that Liverpool are missing Van Dijk. Do you know what I mean? And how I think you're seeing now how influential he was for them and how much he transformed that team. But I think people are forgetting that they missed him, and they seem to be always playing a makeshift defence. They don't really have any centre-backs fit at the moment as well. So you can't really blame them for their dip in form, because they're playing midfielders in defence, and they're playing, they're bringing in fringe players into the midfield and stuff like that. And obviously the drop in intensity, they missed the likes of Henderson in midfield, even Fabinho in midfield, because that's obviously when they're at their best. So I think in many ways, a lot of things have kind of accumulated in that sense that have made Manchester United look good as well. Not to take anything away from them, but it would be interesting to see if Liverpool had all their players back. Would United be that case? I do think Cavani's been a good boy as well, by the way. Sorry, I know we're kind of talking about Pogba and stuff like that, but I was kind of talking about Solskjaer as well. I think he's done well, and he's done well to manage to galvanise them. And he seems to have this thing again of us against the world type of thing, and I think Manchester United fans love that. I think Liverpool fans love that too, about themselves. Everybody against them, and that's the kind of attitude, and that's when they play their best, isn't it? I think so. Yeah, look, Pogba, I don't really care. I don't think too many United fans. I think Roy Keane said it. Look, if he leaves, he leaves. I don't think he's bigger than the club where he left the first time, and Man United survived without him. So I don't think they'll struggle too much without him. But anyway,
I'm not saying they'd struggle without him, but he is a quality player. And to lose him on the cheap, I think would be a big blow, because he would be an expensive player to replace.
They did the first time.
Well, when he left the first time, he was more of a promising young player. And I know Alex Ferguson was really upset at losing him. I mean, they lost another player. He ended up Rafael Morrison, wasn't it? He went to West Ham on a free at the same time. Ravel Morrison. He went on a free to West Ham at the same time. And I know there was other issues there, but he was meant to be another superstar. But I think Pogba was the one that Ferguson really regretted missing out on and not being able to keep. And I think they were delighted to, even though it was an expensive acquisition, delighted to get him back. But if he doesn't sign, and I mean, you can't force a player to sign a new contract. If he doesn't sign a new contract, it's going to be a real dilemma for United. Cavani is a great shout, by the way. He's 33, but what a finisher. What a goal he got against Fulham during the week. And still a high-quality striker. And as you say, a great signing for United, because I don't think they have anyone who's that good a finisher, that good a striker. I know Rashford's playing incredibly well, and he's a lot more to his game. But Cavani is just a pure class, pure finisher, and what a striker. And United could go on and win it. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. I think it'd be a bit hard on Leicester as well. They're having a phenomenal season. Came from behind today in the FA Cup and won again. And they went top during the week. And I think that the reason that they've been the media darlings for the last few days is they've been more or less been ignored. I saw a league table going around originally from a Leicester fan with on Tuesday, Invisibles on top, and then whatever United, Liverpool, West Ham. West Ham aren't that far away actually. United, Liverpool, etc. Underneath. So they have kind of, I think, crept under the radar a bit until they went top, and then people realised what a good job Brendan Rodgers done.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin, 1-0. Great ball. I think it was Sigurdsson. Sinead Cowley says, come on, Sheffield Wednesday. Sorry, Sinead, I'm an Everton fan, so I'm quite happy. 1-0. Dominic Calvert-Lewin back in goal scoring form, which would be brilliant for him, because he's gone about 5 or 6 games there without a goal. It was Andrew Gomez with the ball in. Sorry, great little finisher at the back post there by Dom.
That's I was talking about Cavani. That's a real striker's goal there from Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well. Great finish, just to be sliding in, gambling at the far post, and a sign of a good striker's instinct. And Calvert-Lewin is on flying form, is scoring lots of goals this season as well.
Big Dunk loved that, didn't he?
So.
Yeah, but just like we're obviously talking about Cavani and stuff like that. I think Calvert-Lewin has been the biggest improvement I've seen in a long time in a player. Just like over the last few years, he was never really a goal scorer or a goal getter. But since Ancelotti's came in and he's just said, you just stay in between the goalposts. I know he wasn't in between the goalposts there, but he did put the ball in between the goalposts. But he has him just playing in the box, and he's the focal point, and the balls are just being put into him, and he is reaping the rewards from it. He's just been unbelievable this season, and a little bit of last season as well before the lockdown when Ancelotti first came in. But as far as an evolution of a striker, he's just gone up about 5 or 6 levels. He's just gone unbelievable, and you speak about Cavani and stuff like that. I think he's miles off Cavani's level. I think Cavani's been world class for how many years now. But I think Cavani, in terms of someone who nobody wants to go near, by the way, nobody wanted to sign Cavani the summer just gone, and he was gone for nothing. Let's not forget that. I'm pretty sure he went to United for free.
Yeah, it was a free transfer, but it was high wages. So I think it was still in COVID times a bit of a gamble, but it certainly paid off.
Yeah, but the thing is, he has been absolutely, he's quality. You can just see he doesn't have to do that much, but some of the stuff he does is he has the know-how. I think the fact that they have that perfect balance now, they don't necessarily have that perfect balance on the right hand side, but when they have Rashford, Cavani in the team, and Rashford's playing off the left, but Greenwood on the right, sometimes he's still quite young. So I think they maybe need someone on that right hand side. I know they signed Diallo from Atlanta. I'm not sure if he plays on the right hand side, but if he does and he comes in and he settles, then that could be just the missing link that they need. If he can add goals from the right hand side, then United are a serious force, and then they could really go on for a title charge, because they're right there. I know today was in the FA Cup, but they're right there, and United fans will be loving the sound of this as well.
Well, I'd say United fans are very happy at the moment because they've just beaten Liverpool. They're top of the league, playing really well. So it probably is a great time to be a United fan. But what can you say?
Just on Fernandes, Gary. Just on Fernandes. I mean, have you seen somebody come in and make that much of a difference in January? You could say Van Dijk, because didn't he sign in January for Southampton?
Van Dijk was a January signing as well. But yeah, I know what you're saying, Paul, because the January window traditionally isn't a great time to sign players, and it's normally the clubs in the relegation battles that can be a bit desperate and can overpay. And I think United ended up, they felt they were overpaying for Bruno Fernandes. They'd been trying to sign him for a while. It was a bit like the Jadon Sancho one, which I know didn't come off in the summer. But United were trying to sign Bruno Fernandes, and they didn't want to meet the fee. But eventually they paid the fee. But what an impact he made. And because they were, if I remember, they were outside the Champions League places. They were certainly well adrift.
They were struggling, yeah. They
were struggling. And he made a huge impact. I mean, scored some goals, created goals, and I'm sure he's been United's player of 2020, I think, without a doubt. For me, anyway, looking on as a neutral, he's been their standout player. And one of the best January signings since the transfer windows have come in. That's, as you say, Virgil van Dijk came from Southampton in January as well. I don't think he made the immediate impact that Bruno Fernandes made. Obviously gone on to be a top defender, arguably the top defender in the Premier League, and as you said, a massive loss for Liverpool with his injury. But yeah, what an impact Bruno Fernandes has made, and from scoring goals, a great free kick today, and also from creating goals with assists, and fantastic eye for a pass. But I wonder who will be the signing of this January transfer window, although I don't know if we'll see too many major ones.
Yeah, well, so the Dalek West WHUFC says, "Hi mate, subscribe to you. Thanks very much. Just want to go up to a comment that we were going to speak about anyway. Where is it gone? Dun, 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 dun. I think it was David Salter. Who was it? David? No, it's gone anyway. It was about Nathan Collins. I'm just trying to find it. See if there it is. Jack Allen was. So today it's being linked that Nathan Collins, who's obviously at Stoke at the moment, and he's come in this season and he's done really, really well. I suppose he's established himself in the first team this season. Last season he was captain and stuff like that, but he didn't necessarily nail down a spot, whereas I think this season he has, and it looks like he's attracting all sorts of interest. And I know Manchester United were hot on him before as well. But I think you're looking at it now. Burnley are interested in buying them right now, and Arsenal are looking to buy him maybe in the future. But I think the fact that now Burnley have the cash and are ready to pay 10 million, it looks as though, and it's rumoured that Tarkowski's on the way out. What are your thoughts? Because obviously we have Jimmy Dunn there, we have Kevin Long there as well, and they're not getting in at Burnley. So you'd wonder, is this a signing worthwhile, or would it be better if maybe Arsenal signed him and loaned him back to Stoke then for the remainder of the season, and then maybe next season look to bring him through, because apparently they're looking for a replacement for Socrates when he leaves in the summer.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, you can look at it from Nathan Collins' development point of view, as well as from the other Irish players that would be impacted. I mean, it's very young for him to be playing as a centre half as it is. So I think most centre halves tend to come out through 23, 24. I remember even the likes of Richard Dunn, Shane Duffy, they didn't really establish themselves until they were well into their 20s, early to mid 20s. And so Nathan Collins is doing incredibly well, and Stoke themselves had been on a great run of clean sheets. They're not conceding too many goals, but they hadn't been winning too many games. And I watched quite a bit of their game against Watford yesterday, which was a bit of a disappointment. Stoke were much the better side, and Watford effectively was a bit of a smash and grab. Well, Watford improved a bit in the second half, but somehow Watford went in at 0-0, and very lucky, and then got a penalty from Troy Deeney, and then got a second goal that he set up. But I think Stoke were very unfortunate to lose the game, but they have been on a bad run. But defending very well. Nathan Collins, he's been playing really well. He had been linked before, so he's definitely one that has a bright future in the Premier League. And then the question is, from his perspective, should he go now? I'd like to see him still play, and I would have a concern if he was to go at this stage. So maybe the Arsenal to loan him back to Stoke might be ideal. If he goes to Burnley, will he start? I mean, they have me and Tarkowski already now. I know you were saying that there's rumours or talk that he could be on his way, and I know he is actually highly rated. He's been in England teams and everything, but so I don't see Nathan Collins going straight into the Burnley first team. But as you say, they have money. There's a takeover. There's they are still in a bit of a relegation battle despite their win at Anfield. So I think if Nathan Collins was to go there, he'd probably just be backup for me and Tarkowski. I don't know if they're going to let him go. Maybe they're thinking of Tarkowski going next summer. I don't know, maybe he's going to go in January. I haven't actually seen the speculation, or haven't seen too much. So then that's from Nathan Collins' perspective. Then you've got Kevin Long, who's currently the backup at Burnley, and he seems to me to have done really well when he's got the chance. Got quite a run of games due to injuries, and he did really well for Ireland as well when he came on. A bit unfortunate actually when he got his chance in the home game. Was it against Wales? And he got injured and had to go off. But he came back again, and he's a very steady, solid centre half. He'll go in, no nonsense. He'll do a job for you. And unfortunately, he would probably fall down the pecking order if Nathan Collins goes to Burnley. And then you've got Jimmy Dunn, who's probably behind Kevin Long. And I think, I did see some speculation that he was being linked with some championship clubs, either on loan or possibly as part of a permanent transfer. It may be better for him, because I don't think that he's going to move up. It doesn't look like he's going to move up the pecking order in Burnley. So it's probably better for him, and from an Irish perspective, being selfish, obviously, if he moved to someone in the championship. I suppose we'll say Preston, the old reliable for an Irish player. I don't know who their centre backs are actually and who they need, but yeah, it would be good if he moved somewhere and got some game time. But for me, I think Nathan Collins has got a bright future ahead of him, but I'd like to see him continue to play week in, week out for the moment anyway. I don't know, what do you think, Paul?
Seamus is on the break here. Oh, unlucky. Just Seamus with a good ball across the box there. Great play by him and James on the right hand side. Are you asking me the thoughts on Nathan Collins going there, or on the rest of the lads?
Yeah, well, and Nathan Collins, and it does have an impact on the other two lads as well if he does go to Burnley.
Well, I think with Long, he's been there so long. Like, he's been there 10 years. I think he even joked himself that if he had a testimonial, he'd probably be on the bench himself. He did well after lockdown last season when after March, when he came in, or sorry, in the end of after the lockdown came in and was Project Restart. He done really well when he came into the team, and he was starting loads of games, and then maybe Ben Mee was injured or Tarkovsky or one or the other, and he was forced to come in and play, and he played really well. And then Jimmy Dunn was starting to get a run of games, but I think that was just down to injury and stuff like that. I think they're just backups. I think Jimmy Dunn has been out so many times on loan already. I think he's been out at Hearts, and he's been out at another lower league team as well. Seamus Coleman
played at Sunderland as well. I think he played for Sunderland for a while. So.
Yeah, and so he's been out on loan a few times. I just don't think for Jimmy Dunn it's going to work out there. I think if Nathan Collins went to Burnley, I just don't think it's the right time. Same as Jason Knight to Derby. I just don't think it's the right time for him to leave. I think he'd be better suited getting game time at this age in his development, first team football. If it's in the Champions, so be it. Just let him develop. I think he's going to develop into a fine centre back. You think of the centre backs that we have coming through. Like if Jimmy Dunn does go to another club and develop there, that's another really good centre back we have coming through. You add that with Conor Masterson, Dara O'Shea, Nathan, Jimmy Dunn. There's a fine, load of centre backs coming through there. But then the problem is, Conor Masterson left QPR to get game time as well at Swindon. So we do have young centre halves coming through. We've never really had an issue with centre backs in terms of good centre backs that can come in. But it's good that we have this backlog. But they all need to be playing, because they're no use to anybody if they're not playing, and everybody needs to be playing regularly. So, but I think if you're looking at the top of the list in terms of the centre backs, I think you're looking at Collins and O'Shea as probably the best partnership you'll be looking for in years to come. And you look at Dara O'Shea, once he got in, developed, and he went up the league, and he went up to the Premier League with West Brom, and now you'd probably say that he was the what's going on there with the keepers after getting a knock there by one of their players. But you'd say that Dara O'Shea would be in line to probably start come March, because he's just been that good this season, and when he came in and played for Ireland, he looked really, really good. So there's positive signs there that if Nathan did stay at Stoke, that he could possibly be in the Ireland team by the end of the season, maybe.
Yeah, he certainly could. I mean, he's playing really well, and he's definitely one for the future. I think he's somebody who's going. I mean, he's already playing as a centre half at this young age, which I said already is a really phenomenal achievement, and it certainly looks like he's going to be around for a long time, and he's going to get a number of caps for us. I expect that he could well have a starting position. I know I've been saying the same about Dara O'Shea, and you still have, you have John Egan, you have Shane Duffy, you have Kieran Clark still around as well. Kevin Long, we mentioned, so there's so many options there. But I would expect Nathan Collins to become a starter for the national team. Maybe this year might be a bit soon, but certainly for the qualifiers for 2024. But who knows about this year, because he is playing so well. And the fact even that Arsenal are interested is definitely a good sign. But I don't see a 19-year-old, 20-year-old starting at a club like Arsenal in the Premier League week in, week out. That might be a bit much. So are they looking more for the future? So that would be my concern re Arsenal. And again, with Burnley, he may go in as the first backup, and now maybe Tarkovsky, maybe he's the replacement for Tarkovsky. I mean, Burnley are still very much a selling club, and if they've got a defender who's in such demand as James Tarkovsky, they will probably take the money, but maybe not with the new owners. I don't know how much money. There seems to be quite a bit of money with the new owners in Burnley, so maybe not. Maybe they are just want to establish themselves in the Premier League and push on, instead of becoming, I think what they are is a bottom six Premier League side. And Sean Dyche, in fact, they shouldn't even be in the Premier League, with all due respects to the size of the club and the budget they have. But Sean Dyche has done an incredible job in an incredible situation to keep them in the Premier League. and but obviously they would need quite a bit of investment if they wanted to push on and move to the next level, which is probably at least mid-table. I was going to say mid-table obscurity, which can be a very good thing for a lot of clubs, but I suppose be comfortable in mid-table instead of being in a relegation battle.
Yeah, well, I think you just with that you're just going to have to see how it plays out, and if the clubs do come in from and what is the story there. If it was my choice, I would like to see Collins stay where he is for now, at least to the end of the season, like Arsenal have said. Or maybe if Arsenal did put in a bid of 10 million and then loan him straight back to Stoke, I think that would be the ideal scenario for everybody. And then they could look at him in the pre-season, see if he's good enough, see if he could come into the team. And if not, then maybe loan him out again, get that another year under his belt, and then I'd say he'd be, willing and able to come into that team. But you just don't know. Like, we're going on as if Arsenal is the Arsenal of old. They haven't been that Arsenal for a long, long time. And they do lack a real kind of hard, physical defender, but who can also play as well. Because I think he's a fine player. And he's physical, he's big. He's a threat in the opposition's box as well, like Shane Duffy. So, yeah, you gotta look at it and be sensible as well. You want him to go somewhere where he's gonna play football. You don't want him to just go somewhere where he's just gonna be on the bench and, would he be any better than Rob Holding at this moment in time? I wouldn't say so at this moment in time. Could he be better than him? I think so, yes, definitely. But I think he needs a couple of years of more development under his belt before he goes. And the fact that like Stoke have made him captain and stuff like that, they really think highly of him, as well. So they have that as well.
Yeah, so as you say, it is crucial that he keeps playing, keeps learning his trade, keeps playing week in, week out. And I think at this stage, Stoke City is probably the best for him. And Stoke aren't that far off the Premier League themselves next season. I mean, they have been on a bad run, but they're only a few points off the playoffs now. I know yesterday's defeat by Watford, I was saying, it must be a crushing defeat because they played really well. They just couldn't score and probably should have won the game. But I wouldn't rule out Stoke, Michael O'Neill getting Stoke into the playoffs and Stoke getting back to the Premier League, which might be the ideal scenario, to have Nathan Collins playing in the Premier League with Stoke City, where he's already established and already a crucial player for them.
Yeah, they're 5 points off, but the teams above them have a game in hand, Bournemouth and Reading. But yeah, if a couple of results go their way, they're right in the mix. So they just need a real strong end to the season. So they probably would want Collins to go if that is the case as well. So let us know your thoughts anyway in the comments on that situation, and let us know what you think. So moving on. So obviously today was the Scottish or the Betfred Cup semi-final, St Mirren against Livingston in Hampden. You watched it. Were you impressed by anybody? Obviously, Jace Cabia came on the other night for Livingston, having just moved from Shells, got Scott Brown sent off, and I suppose impressed on his debut. They scored as soon as he came on the pitch. And then obviously the lads at St Mirren have been doing really well. Conor McCarthy, Dylan Connolly, Jamie McGrath, all ex-League of Ireland players, all done well. I know they have a couple of other players, St Mirren in their squad, their manager's Irish as well. But anybody catch your eye today?
Yeah, so it's... I did watch the game. It was more of an Irish interest. I know that's why I ended up missing Man United Liverpool, which I appreciate seemed to be a bigger game. It was from the Irish interest because I hadn't seen St Mirren actually. I hadn't really seen them. I hadn't seen them at all. I hadn't watched St Mirren I'd seen very brief highlights, just the goals of the quarter-final win over Rangers. So it was to see the Irish contingent. Jim Goodwin seems to have done a very good job there. I thought they were unlucky. Conor McCarthy is the player that I was most impressed with. I thought he played well at both ends of the pitch. He probably had their best chance. A great header in the second half, and the keeper was beaten but was taken off the line by a Livingston defender. I don't know, Jamie McGrath didn't stand out for me, didn't do enough. They've Joe Shaughnessy there as well, the Galway lad, who's he did fine as well for them. Dylan Connolly, Well, I thought he was playing really well, but then he picked up a bit of a stupid booking, and then he got substituted, which I thought was a strange one because they were a goal down at that stage, and he was giving them width. He was causing problems, and he was actually getting some good deliveries in. So I think Jim Goodwin's done a really good job there. He's got them into mid-table in the Scottish Premier Division, but definitely, I mean, he was interviewed afterwards and he was absolutely gutted. And look, his team gave him everything. They didn't leave anything out on the pitch. And I suppose it was just one of those days. They conceded a goal early enough in the game. They had a right go at Livingston, but they just couldn't get that equaliser. But it's really going to feel like an opportunity missed to win a trophy with the Old Firm out of the cup. It really is. Well, St Johnstone waiting in the final. It really was an opportunity. It was for all four teams this weekend. It was a great opportunity to win a trophy in Scotland, which doesn't come around very often for the clubs outside the Old Firm. And I know Jim Goodwin won it as a player for St Mirren, but he will really feel that they missed a chance. And it was a great chance for the Irish lads there to have a showcase final next month in Hampden. But unfortunately, that's not to be. Jace Kabaya was on the bench for Livingston, but he didn't get on. And so, I mean, he could have a chance to, as you said, he came off the bench during the week against Celtic. I didn't see any of that match. And so hopefully he'll get a chance to impress. Now, Livingston are on an incredible run. I think that's 11 games unbeaten under their new manager. So it'll be tough for Jace Kabaya to break into that team. But I suppose he's just arrived in Scotland, so we'll give him a chance, and hopefully he will. But from an Irish perspective, it was very disappointing to see St Mirren beaten. And it was just a really tight game. They came out the wrong end of a 1-0 scoreline. And in my Irish bias view, I think they were a bit unfortunate to lose.
Just on McGrath, because I think he's been playing very well this season. He obviously takes the penalties as well, so it might look as though he's playing better than he is because he's taking penalties and stuff like that. But he might be worth maybe someone to look at for the Qatar game. You know, Stephen Kenny's worked with him before, previously at Dundalk, and it could be an option for him in terms of, we don't have that many players in that position, that creative kind of playmaker. You know, I think, you know, you got Jack Byrne, and other than Jack, you maybe have Jason Knight, who's a bit more dynamic, he's a bit more energetic than, say, Jack is more kind of get on the ball and look for things, whereas Jason Knight would kind of more run at teams, like Malumbi as well. But I don't think we have too many of those players who play just kind of as an attacking midfielder to come into that position and kind of bring players into the game and stuff like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think part of the problem is that Stephen doesn't really like to play. Maybe is such an attacking. Maybe in Stephen's system, that's kind of a luxury. And even for Jack Byrne, it's probably someone to come off the bench, maybe if you're chasing the game. And I don't think he'd be ahead of Jack Byrne in the pecking order, despite obviously Stephen knows him and he played for him before. So he might be worth a look. But if Stephen is not playing with that type of player, and he already has Jack, if he's going to give anyone a run against Qatar, or possibly if he's chasing the game in Serbia, that's when you could see. I don't expect Jack to start. Now, it depends how things go in Cyprus and everything for him. We can go on and talk about that as well. But I would think that Jack would be he's flair, creative player, someone to have on the bench to come on with 20, 25 minutes to go. If we're a goal down, if we need something to happen, pick out a pass, etc. And so Jamie, for me, will probably be behind Jack in the pecking order. And so I don't expect to see him in the squad, but who knows with COVID, injuries, etc., what's going to happen. But I'm sure Stephen is keeping an eye on him. And I don't remember. I was cut out a bit because I don't remember St. Mirren actually being on TV much. Now, maybe it's just because I didn't watch them. I was watching something else. But I know normally in Scotland, it's the Old Firm away from home are on. But I actually can't remember St. Mirren playing Celtic or Rangers in the league. Probably someone will probably come in and say they played a week or two ago. But I don't remember. If they were, I was watching something else. So today is the first chance I've actually felt I've had a chance to look at the Irish players like Conor McCarthy, who is someone that can come on the radar as well. It's just we have so many centre halves ahead of him. I don't think he will be on the radar. But it was get a chance to look at these players, and particularly a fine Irish contingent there. But yeah, I'm sure Jamie will be on Stephen's radar, but I wouldn't expect to see him in the squad unless we had some injuries.
Yeah, no, I think the same. But again, a lot's going to tell over the next couple of months, between now and March, and kind of who's playing well and stuff like that. But you touched on Jack there. He came off the bench for Apoel today after, I think it was 62 minutes he was introduced.
Yeah.
But what have you made of kind of like him so far at Apoel? It's obvious that he's gone there and he has to get his fitness up before he starts playing. And I think today was the real kind of first time he got a chance to probably come on and show what he can do, because he got the half an hour in. I think the manager is trying to ease him in, and then with the hope of getting him fully fit and then have him playing. That's what I foresee anyway at the moment. What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, Paul, I haven't seen even on streams or anything of his Apoel career, so I obviously can't comment on how he played in that half an hour. But it was great to see him come off the bench and get half an hour. But it has to be, as you said, that the manager is easing him back to full fitness. So himself and Joe Garner actually came on at the same time today. And so it is good that he's still in the plans, because obviously it would have been a big blow to Jack to see Mick, having signed him, then leave the club. So it's great for him to get half an hour. Another point for Apoel today against a team that's actually in the top four. They would have gone third, actually, Anathorsis, if they'd actually won. And Apoel are just 2 points off the top six. So they have actually been on a decent run under this new manager. And they had a huge win in the Cup during the week. They actually beat the league leaders of Holland 2-1 in the Cup. And realistically, that's Apoel's only hope to get back into Europe. And this is a side that are used to, as I said it on a few times, they're the biggest club in Cyprus. They are used to winning the league, or used to being in the group stages. They've been in the Champions League group stages a few times, in the Europa League group stages a few times. They've been in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, playing Real Madrid, for example. And it would be a hammer blow to them to not be in Europe next season. And it's embarrassing for them to be in the bottom six in Cyprus, or the bottom half. But the top six break away in a few weeks, and it looked like they were in a total relegation battle a few weeks ago. They have pulled out of that. They're 2 points off the top six, even though they're actually in 10th. So I would expect them hopefully to push on and get into that top six. Europe through the league is probably too big an ask, because the points gap, they're something like 17 points behind Anathorsis, the team they played today. And so that's not going to happen. But hopefully they can win the Cypriot Cup, and that will get them into the Europa League for next season. And in fact, Cyprus are so well up in the... I need to check this, actually. Maybe Paul, but Cyprus are so well up in the UEFA rankings. The Cup winners may actually go straight into the group stages of the Europa League.
But I can check there. I can check the rankings.
But Cyprus are about 15th in UEFA, so I'm not sure the access list for next season. But so winning the Cypriot Cup will be absolutely crucial, and hopefully Jack will be part of the starting 11 before the next round of the Cup comes around.
Yeah, is it the league ranking you want me to check?
Yeah, it's just the UEFA. It's the UEFA access list. I can probably check it myself. For next season. It's just where the Cypriot Cup winners end up.
Jesus. No.
No, it's a difficult thing to check on the stream. Now, I know where to go on Bert Cassis' site, but it would be would take me a minute or two to to sort it out. So
yeah, we don't need to check it right now, but
yeah,
people get
I'll
to
have a
listen,
check
I'm
for the
sure.
next stream. But certainly, I mean, if Apoel get back into Europe, they would probably be expected to play quite a few times. I mean, they've, as I said, they've been in the group stages on a few occasions, both the Champions League and the Europa League. So, and we want to see Jack playing, ideally playing in Europe as well as playing in the league.
Yeah, 100%. You know, that's we want him playing at the highest level he can, because then we want him to become a regular Ireland international, and obviously that's why he's gone to Cyprus, so he could do that. So you know, the more he plays, the better. It's just coming into the second half here now at the moment. I see there's a lot of people online. Just make sure you smash that like button as well. That helps the channel out as well. And get your comments in as well, because we are taking your comments as well as discussing our own topics. So there's a couple of people there. Someone says, has Jack any chance of being involved in March? I think we've kind of pretty much said that there. He just needs to be playing every week, basically. He needs to be trying to play as much 90 minutes as he can. And I think Stephen would be keeping a keen eye on him. He had them in the squad the last, couple of squads. And he was on standby for his very, very first squad. But I think he likes Jack. I think he likes everything he brings to him. And he's watched Jack as well with Shamrock Rovers. So he knows exactly what Jack brings to the squad. So if Jack's playing and playing every week and he's sharp, I don't see any reason why he can't. What about you, Gary?
Yeah, I think hopefully by March he will be playing every week. And I would expect him to be in the squad for March. I probably at this stage wouldn't expect to see him start. I think there may be others ahead of him. And as I said about Stephen's system, I'm not sure that he would see Jack. Maybe he's been, even though Jack works really hard around the pitch, he may see Jack as being too much of a luxury player away to Serbia. So I don't think he'd start. But if we were a goal down in Belgrade with 20 minutes, 25 minutes to go, I'd certainly be expecting Jack to come off the bench.
Because he's the only one with that little bit of spark right now, in terms of someone who can spot a pass and open up teams and stuff like that. And that's what we need. A bit like Wezzo. When Wezzo used to play for us, I think he used to open up a lot. Now he was used sparingly from what he should be, because of the way managers wanted to play, I suppose.
Yeah, it's always been. Wezzo was a debate for so long in the Irish team, and Andy Reid before him. I mean,
Liam Brady,
maybe we're just. Yeah, well, Liam Brady actually. Yeah, that will. That's one maybe for another day, but certainly, yeah, in the later years under the later years of Liam Brady's career. He was certainly a controversial omission for the 1990 World Cup. I would have actually agreed with Jack, in fairness, but that's one for another day. But Andy Reid was another one. We've probably been very suspicious of players having maybe too much talent sometimes for an Irish squad or an Irish team. But maybe Jack will be the next one to provoke that level of controversy.
Well, I just hope he plays. I hope we're not looking back in 10 years' time and going, "Oh, what a player Jack Byrne would have been," and then he just never gets the chance to play for Ireland. So hopefully he does get the chance. Hopefully he's playing regularly. Come March, he gets his chance to come in, and he's only really ever a goal away from doing something special. If he scores a goal against Serbia and we win the game against Serbia, he'll go down for the next 100 years or something. As a really big player for us then, because he shows he can score against a team like Serbia. And then I think that would be, even if he got an assist, I think that would propel him onto a bigger kind of stage for himself to then perform consistently on. So I just think it's early days with Jack, and I just think we just got to be patient with it, and I think he will come good for us. I just think he needs to be given the time on the pitch to show what he can't do,
Yeah, and I mean, people were asking about the Qatar game earlier on. I mean, hopefully Jack will get a good run in that game. He may well start in that match. And also, look, God only knows what's going to happen with COVID. But at the moment, we should have 2 or 3 friendlies in late May and early June. I know there is an international window there for friendlies before the Euros for other countries. So that will be an opportunity for Stephen to experiment as well, without any pressure, because definitely the Qatar game and those friendlies, the results don't matter. It is a chance to try out players, to try out things for the later qualifiers. But the Serbia game, obviously first up, and then the Luxembourg game are absolutely crucial.
Yeah, they're the ones that matter. You know, they're the ones that, alternatively, they're the ones that matter. You know, so we need to make sure that we're getting good results in those games. But yeah, let us know your thoughts on that with Jack. Anyway, in the comments, I'm just looking through here. Luke Weirity says, I hope I said that right. He says, what would your midfield be for the World Cup qualifiers, and would you start Josh Cullen? Well, it depends. I think we've done this a couple of weeks ago anyway, Gary, didn't we? I think people were asking us who would we start, and it would depend on who's fit and available, because as we said there, it's 2 months away, probably less than 2 months now. What date is the Serbia game? You'll
Serbia,
know.
24th of March, Wednesday,
So
the 24th.
exactly 2 months.
Yeah.
So it's 2 months away. So we have to see. There's a lot of football to be played between now and then. It really is a lot of football if you look at the fixture lists in the Premier League and the FA Cup and so on. There's a lot of games to be played. There's European games as well, Champions League and Europa League and all that. So there's a lot of football to be played between now and March. So I did it last week. I think my midfield. I think I had. Did I have Josh Cullen?
I think you had Josh Cullen. I had James McCarthy sitting.
And then it was Jason Knight and Jason Malumbi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So well, I actually don't think Jason Malumbi will get in right now because, there's 2 months between now and March, so he could alternatively get in, and I hope he does. But right now, himself, Howrahan and Hendrick all haven't been really playing that regularly, so hopefully they can now. Obviously, Howrahan's gone to Swansea, he's gone on loan. Malumbi's gone on loan to Preston as well, and got an assist there during the week. He played today, got booked actually today. Bit of a loose cannon sometimes when he wants to be. Stephen had actually said that before, that he wished he wouldn't get as many yellow cards, but I think he just gets wound up, or sometimes some players need to get a yellow card to get themselves into the game and stuff like that. So going to my head, we're playing tomorrow, Josh Cullen, Jason Knight. I couldn't pick another. I can't pick another midfielder just because none of them are really playing on form at the moment. I'd just go with. I go with Malumbi.
Yeah, I think that Jason Malumbi, he did start today for Preston, played during the week as well. It could well be Jason Malumbi actually starting in Belgrade, because hopefully he will get a good run of games. But Conor Hourihane played really well for Swansea as well, so he could make an impression. They're second in the championship and doing really well. My own preference away from home, if fully fit, is James McCarthy in the sitting role. Just away from home, hostile atmosphere, and it would be a big one to throw a young player in for a competitive start. But if you're asking me my midfield that I expect for the Euro 2024 qualifiers, knowing what I know now, I would say it'll be Josh Cullen, Jason Malumbi and Jason Knight. And they could be the three that could be around, assuming we play with a midfield three, around for a long time to come. But I think March may not, because Josh Cullen is playing so well for Anderlecht, but it may come a little bit too soon for Josh Cullen to start. But if James McCarthy is not fully fit or hasn't got a lot of game time with Crystal Palace in the meantime, it could well be Josh Cullen. We'll see. Time will tell.
He seems to like Hourihane in that pivot position though as well. So he does like to have him as that sitting midfielder too. So that's
he does, and as I said before, I think he does need either Hourihane or Robbie Brady for the set pieces as well, because I don't think we've anyone else that can deliver with that type of quality. So that could also become a factor. But yeah,
Robbie's been playing brilliantly as well for Burnley lately, as well. By the way.
Well, I would actually be considering Robbie as one of the front three. So I would
Oh
probably
yeah,
expect
100%. Yeah.
Robbie to play on the right and coming in on his left foot. So I wasn't actually. I would have Robbie Brady in my starting 11 now for Serbia, but as one of the front three with hopefully Aaron Connolly and probably Callum Robinson. But who knows? It's, as you say, Paul, it's 2 months away, so who knows? A lot can change. Hopefully, we won't have too many injuries, and hopefully, we won't have COVID affecting the squad for Serbia.
Yeah, hopefully, because that's the last thing we need. Hopefully, the likes of Aaron Connolly and stuff like that is back and scoring goals by then as well, and not picking up knocks.
He's due back. He's due back in a week or two, is my understanding. I was checking that over the weekend. So they expect that Aaron Connolly back in a couple of weeks.
And
which would be
Adamina
good
as well.
news. Yeah, I think he's February as well. Bit concerning about Adamida is that I paid a bit more attention to Norwich at the weekend, because not only have they got Timo Pukki, but they've got your man Jordan Hugel, who had scored quite a few goals for Preston before. So he's in the Norwich team now, and he's scoring goals. And unfortunately, it's another guy that's going to be ahead of Adam when he comes back. So it'll be really difficult with Norwich top of the championship, playing really well, scoring goals. It's going to be really difficult for Adam to get some game time when he does get back fit.
Yeah, I think with Adam, I think people need to chill out. I think people like call him awful and stuff like that. I just think that's a bit silly. Like, the fella, he's only 19 or 20 at the moment. Do you know what I mean? He's only kind of finding his way in senior football. Still, I know we've spoken about it before. He still has a long way to go in terms of playing for men's football regularly. He doesn't seem to be getting it anywhere. Like, he's already played, I think, 5 international or 5 caps. I think he has for us already since the summer. And if you looked at his appearances for Norwich, I wouldn't say he has that many either. I know he got that hat-trick as well against Preston last year, but it wasn't Preston's first team as well. People kind of go on about that. I just hope that he can get in the team and start banging in goals, because I think he definitely has the quality.
Yeah, he has the attributes, he has the quality, but as you say, he needs to play first team men's football. And I think realistically, he needs to spend some time in the championship playing that. And I mean, the problem, I actually said it on here a few months ago that maybe it was a good thing Norwich are going to get relegated. I thought they'd sell Pukki, and I thought Adam would start in the championship. It hasn't worked out like that. Obviously, for Norwich, it's worked out brilliantly for them that they're top of the championship. They look like they're going straight back up, probably as champions. They're playing well, they're scoring goals. And so, barring injuries, it's hard to see Adam get much game time when he comes back. They're also out of the FA Cup now as well, so they won't really have a chance to give him a chance if they've got Pukki and Jordan Hugel up top, or playing one or the other. So it'll probably, I think March will probably come too soon for him. I don't think he'll have got enough games under his belt, even though he's fully fit, to start for Stephen in March. But I would hope he would certainly get a very good pre-season, maybe get a loan to a championship club, assuming Norwich go up, and play regularly men's football next season, and then be in contention September, October, November for our qualifiers later in the campaign. I think March, well, who knows what's going to happen. I mean, look, Norwich could have some injuries to their strikers. Adam could come straight back into the team and start banging in goals. But unless he's back playing regularly in men's football, it looks at this stage like March will be too soon for him.
Yeah, but I think it might not be a mad idea if he goes out on loan now. I mean, there's a few days left of the transfer window. He's going to be back to full fitness in a couple of weeks. It might make sense if he went on loan to a championship club or something like that. You never know, especially if those two are ahead of him in the pecking order. It might be an option.
I don't know if you can go on loan if you're injured. Yeah, why not? I mean, he's not, as far as I know, he's not far from full fitness.
Yes,
So
2-0.
yeah, it's
Richarlison.
2-0. So
Sorry, you were saying?
yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's unusual for someone to go out on loan when they're actually injured, but he's not that far from full fitness, I believe. So um, yeah, he could obviously help Norwich by taking points off one of their promotion rivals. Obviously, he'd have to move to a team lower down in the championship. He wouldn't be moving to a team that's battling with Norwich or helping them. But uh, if he could get game time, it would certainly help if he went out on loan to another championship club.
Sure, him and Parrott at Millwall. Now that doesn't sound like a bad combo, does it?
Well, yeah, and the Millwall seem to be in pretty poor form at the moment. Dumped out of the FA Cup yesterday, well beaten at home. Um, I saw Troy got some game time, but I don't know. Hopefully, he'll get a goal. But I don't think Millwall are even creating too many chances. Not to mind taking too many.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It could be a good move if either went somewhere like there, where they're lacking someone who scores goals. Then if he's scoring goals, and he's getting the team up the league, and he's coming in confident then for Ireland in March. Maybe you don't like. I don't know. I haven't heard anything of him going on loan, but I just think it would make a bit more sense, especially if they've got Hugel and Pookie there already. So I just think it would make more sense if that was the case. And other players who got his debut there last week, Andrew Omo Bamidele, tough name to say, but he's a really highly rated, and we were speaking about centre backs earlier. He is supposed to be one that's coming up and be really, really good. It'd be interesting to see now if he gets game time next year, because they're obviously going to be in the Premier League. And Norwich are producing a lot of good players. Like, you look there, you've got Ben Godfrey playing left back for Everton, who doesn't normally Richarlison, who doesn't normally play left back, and ever since he's came in place of Lucas Dean, who's in my opinion one of the best left backs in the Premier League, he's came in and he's been brilliant. Now he's obviously more defensive, but he's more of a centre back, but he's been excellent. They've got Max Aarons as well, who they developed, Cantwell, so they know how to develop players. So I'm hoping that obviously they can develop Adam Eade, and they can develop Omo Bamidele, and even Josh Georgie's there at underage level as well. I might be missing someone there as well, but I just think that if you're looking at them, 3-0.
Another goal, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, you mean it. But I think like they do produce players, but I just think he needs to go on, maybe on losing my voice here. I think he needs to go on loan to a club, either in the Championship or abroad. You know, even if he went abroad, I wouldn't be like somewhere like the way Conor Ronan is at Grasshopper Zurich at the moment. Wouldn't be against that. I think that would be. He has all the attribute to play anywhere, I think, in terms of leagues, because he's quick, he's strong, he's fast. I've said before, he reminds me of Lukaku in terms of the way he plays. Probably better than Lukaku in terms of his touch, not in terms of his goal scoring, but in terms of his touch. But he has similar attributes: pace, power, strength, links up play, good finisher,
and a good finisher. But yeah, he certainly has a fantastic chance of making it as a striker. And I've watched him, particularly for the under-17s in that tournament in England, and he's done really well. And Stephen had him at the under-21, so he knows what he can do. But he does need to go on loan. He does need to be playing senior men's football, and he needs to get game time. So yeah, but you're spot on about Norwich. Great youth policy, and a very well-run club. I mean, they're really responding well to the relegation, and obviously, as I said, they're top of the championship. Look like they're going back up as champions, and it'll be great for Adam long term if he can break into the side and become a Premier League regular. But he does need some game time, and probably on loan before that's going to happen.
Yeah, I just hope that he just starts playing wherever. If he's playing for Norwich, happy days. If he's not and he gets a loan, happy days. I just want to see him playing soon. Obviously, it's not been his fault that he's not been playing. He got a bad injury and then he got COVID. and he just seems like he's back. He'll be back to business now soon. But if he can get a club between now and if he's gonna, I think he's back in next week. You said so February.
I think it's February. No, I think it's sometime in February. I think, Paul, it's unlikely he'll go out on loan. You don't tend to hear of players going on loan when they're still injured. So, I mean, the chances are he'll probably come back from injury, rehab, maybe just be in training, maybe get to sit on the bench. But the problem is if they have two established quality strikers already, and I think they only play with one up top, it's going to be not actually. I haven't seen Norwich, but I think they only play with one up top. I could be wrong on that, but if it's going to be very hard for him to get game time unless they have injuries or something like that.
I just don't know if you've been watching the game here, but Seamus Coleman's been making some really brilliant runs at the back post there. He looks to be back to his best now tonight. I know we're playing Sheffield Wednesday. Appreciate that, but that was the way he was playing before he got injured. Himself and James were linking up brilliantly, and he would be the player that would allow James to make that dummy run. Now, if Robbie Brady can, like, I'm not comparing them as players, but Robbie Brady plays a similar role to James on the right hand side for Everton as Robbie Brady does for Ireland. If him and Coleman can link up like that, where when Coleman could be the dummy runner to allow Robbie Brady to cut inside to create that space, I think that could be something that we could be looking at in March. And I think that will be something that, if we have the right midfielders and energetic midfielders, so we're not just sitting back, I think that could be something that could be really looked at. Because if Seamus is playing like he is here now, and that's the way he started the season when everyone was saying how brilliant he was, and he looks like he's back on it again. He looks like he's totally over the injury, touch wood. But we'll obviously have to wait and see come March. But if he can keep it up the way he's playing now and continue that form, obviously in the Premier League, then I would say Seamus would be right back in there, you know.
He could be, because unfortunately Matt Doherty is not getting a lot of game time at Tottenham, and Serge Aurier appears to be the first choice right back at the moment. So I suppose we're blessed to have both of them. But so I wouldn't be surprised if Seamus is starting, if he's getting quite a bit of game time at Everton. It wouldn't be a surprise if he is starting in March. And I go back to my example again, particularly for Serbia, away from home, tough place to go, hostile environment, even with no fans or limited crowd. Serbia will be a very tough away game, and Seamus has been picked as Stevens' captain, and you would want your experienced players, your cool head, your captain on the pitch, and maybe even for that, it might be horses for courses, and pick Seamus for defensive solidity in Belgrade, and play Matt Doherty at home to Luxembourg, when hopefully we should be banging on and trying to bang in a few goals, and certainly, the aim, obviously Luxembourg is a must win, and Serbia, in my view, would be fantastic if we could come out of there with a point. Obviously, it'd be brilliant to win. I'm not saying we don't want to win there, but I would bite your hand off for a draw in Serbia at the moment.
100%. I thought you were saying like Sam Allardyce there, saying you'd be coming out there with a draw would be a brilliant result. But yeah, obviously, of course.
I'm a big fan of Big Sam. So, but I know. I won't go there in his Everton career, but yeah, it's...
look, I understand why you like him.
Yeah.
But I just don't like him. But yeah, that's... look, we're entitled to our own opinions. That's what this channel is all about. So, so Sean Anonymous says, Coleman has been really impressive for me. Defensively, so clever. Gotta love the guy. And he is, like, he carries a wealth of experience. I think, and if he's fit, I feel like he just has to be in the Ireland squad. Now, if Matt Doherty's on form, then it's a toss of a coin really between the two of them, isn't it? Because I think if Seamus is on form, I think he's better than him. But it's whether he's on form or not, or whether he can maintain his hamstrings that seem to just go every couple of weeks, every 5-6 weeks they seem to go. So if he's used sparingly, which in recent weeks he has been, Holgate's played right back a few times and Coleman's been rested for a few games, but I think Ancelotti's trying to rest him so he can get him for games, like, because there's so many games over a certain amount of time. Like, he's just been using them when he has to, or not when he has to, but kind of he'll bring in Holgate to play right back when he has to, if he feels like Seamus could do with a rest. So he's not overloading Seamus game time. Like, he's knowing when to bring him in and when to take him out, and it seems to be working out well. I mean, you look at him tonight and stuff like that. I think as Everton fans, we were all waiting on him to kind of get back to that level. He looks like he's back at it now. So hopefully he can maintain it, and hopefully Carlo then, when he feels like he may be dropping in levels or he might be in the red zone, as they say, he might just pull him out for a game so he doesn't get that injury or doesn't rack up any injuries between now and March, because I think we've missed him. I don't think he's played in the last year because of COVID and stuff like that. I don't think he's played at all. I know he's been in the squad for around the time when we were due to play England, but I don't think he's featured under Kenny at all.
So yeah, I mean, well, the Matt Doherty playing with Wolves before this, the Tottenham transfer, for me would have been the first choice. But it's probably a different situation now because he's not getting the game time. He doesn't seem as comfortable in Spurs. They're playing with a back four as well, which doesn't help Matt because he's more of a wing back. But yeah, I probably agree, Paul, with if Seamus is fully fit and his hamstrings are okay, and he's it is important what you say about Ancelotti, and obviously an experienced top quality manager. It is important to manage game time because the Premier League, the players, I know they're very highly paid and all that, but they got very little of a pre-season. They got very little of a break because after lockdown, the first lockdown, they came back, had a very punishing schedule, had a couple of weeks off, and were back in it again. And they're playing weekend, midweek, weekend, non-stop. Even the next round of the FA Cup is midweek. I think they didn't even give it a weekend date. So there's so many games coming thick and fast. And there are a lot of injuries, a lot of muscle injuries, and a lot of players being out for a while. So it is important to manage. It's important to have big squads, I suppose, but all these clubs do have big squads now. And so it is great to hear that Seamus is being properly managed, which I'm sure Carlo Ancelotti is doing, as you say. And we need him available for March, ideally to have himself and Matt available and fully fit for the Serbia game.
Yeah, well, Stephen Coleman's just came in there. He says, why can't we have Seamus playing right back and Docs playing on the right side of midfield if both are fit? And then Charles Abraham with that profile picture. Says Coleman has about 2 years in him, I'd say. I can't imagine him still a regular starter in the Prem at nearly 35. But I think he wouldn't be at Everton. I think if he went to someone like a Burnley or something later in his career, I think he would be, depending on the style. Like Phil Barsley can play there. I think Seamus would fit in there, no problem, especially if they're defensively sound. I think he's brilliant at that side of his game. I think he'll slow down in terms of obviously his pace and stuff getting forward. But I thought Seamus Coleman was slowing right down. And you look at him tonight and he's bombing right up the pitch, and he was doing that at the start of the season. So I was surprised. Maybe he's working on a sprint or something like that. But he just looks to have gone back up a level that he kind of dropped off from. Maybe that was from his leg break, I don't know. But like, I think he's been playing some of the best football of his career again this season. So long may it last. And I watch Everton all the time, obviously being a fan of them. So I would know when, and I would say it straight up, like Gary, you'd know I've called for Doherty to start ahead of him last season a lot when he wasn't playing well. But I think Seamus actually was because of injury and because he got suspended. Do you remember he got the red card against Switzerland, so he missed the game.
That's right, yeah. And Matt Doherty played and scored against Denmark then, yeah. Yeah,
so he hadn't played. He hasn't played for Ireland since that Switzerland game. Seamus hasn't. So, you'd like to get him back in. I think that you look at how good of a defensive record we had under Mick with our players there. We had a settled back four. I think it was Keogh, Duffy, Egan, and Stevens, and we did, and Randolph in goal, and we just didn't really concede that many goals. And if we did, it was always just the odd goal. Other than maybe that Switzerland away game. Other than that, I don't really recall us conceding too many.
Oh yeah, we looked. I mean, well, it was Shane Duffy and Richard Keogh, and then when Richard Keogh got injured, John Egan actually came in and was to the manor born. But so either of those centre back partnerships and It was Seamus effectively, and Enda Stevens, apart from Matt Doherty for the Denmark game. But yeah, we were, and Darren Randolph in goal, obviously. And that was the real, we've said this many times in the channel, that was the real strength of that side, was the back five, or I'd say the back six, with Glenn Whelan in front of them as well. But we were very solid defensively. We were tough to beat and tough to break down. We didn't, we scored a few goals under Mick, but we didn't score that many. What was it, 6 or 7 in qualifying? And 3 of those were three against Gibraltar, 1 against Georgia, 2 against 7, I think. 2 against Denmark and 1 against Switzerland in qualifying. So we didn't score too many goals, but we didn't concede too many either. Apart from that Switzerland game, when and that was only, what was that, 2-0. So yeah, we were solid at the back. We're still, I think, we were a little bit ropey early on under Stephen, but I think we've got that defensive solidity back, and particularly if we've got all or most of our defensive-minded players available, I think we will be very solid at the back. And obviously for Serbia, that's going to be crucial that we have a solid defence, and because we are going to be under pressure when we go there. But yeah, I think the issues are further forward. The comment as to why Matt Doherty can't play on the right side. Now, I know Mick did try it in Gibraltar. Well, the way Stephen plays, I don't see Matt Doherty fitting into midfield 3. I mean, he's a very talented player, but he's not a midfield player. So possibly in a 4-4-2, he could play the right side of midfield, or kind of defensive midfield player, possibly even kind of playing as a winger as well, or playing as a right-sided midfielder. But we don't play like that, and so I don't see both of them playing. The other option to get both of them into a team is play with a back 5, which I know we've talked about as well, and play Seamus as part of a back 3 and Matt Doherty as right wing back. Now that could be an option. That could be an option for Seamus later in his career as well, to move to a team that's more defensively minded, or move to a team that plays 3 at the back and plays kind of a right centre back in that role as well, where there wouldn't be the same emphasis on getting up and down the wings.
He did it last season. He was brought in a couple of games where Ancelotti was trying to see the game out, and he had Sidibe playing right back, and then he brought Seamus on as that third centre back, and just had him sitting in and defending. So he's played it he can play it.
Yeah, so if Stephen does decide to go with 3 at the back, that will certainly be an option.
Yeah. Just people, anything in the comments there? Daniel Deneen keeps on asking, what's your opinion on LOI getting a flagship sponsor?
Well, it's good that SSE Electricity, the SSE Electricity are back supporting or sponsoring the league again. And it's also nice to see them take the Women's League. We've got the same sponsor for the first time for both the Men's and Women's League. So that's a bonus and a good thing for the FAI. I was a bit concerned by Emmett Malone's tweet on the matter, that I don't know the figures, and I don't know if the figures have been, well, actually they haven't been made public. But he did say what he called it was small money, I believe, if I'm quoting him properly. But it didn't sound like it's a major sponsorship, which will probably be disappointing, because I know the clubs are going to need a lot of support to come back, because it doesn't look like we're going to have fans, at least for the first round of league. I mean, I can't see fans being allowed into our games in March, April, May, not until this vaccine is widely rolled out. So the clubs are going to need support. So I don't know where the money is going to come from. Hopefully the government will come up with some support for the clubs as well. I've seen figures of 9 and possibly 9 or 10 million needed, which is a phenomenal amount of money. And well, hopefully that'll come from the government. I don't know what's going to happen, but from the question, yeah, it's great that the league has a sponsor, and it's great to see SSE Electricity back on board for the next couple of years.
Yeah, speaking of SSE Electricity, we've got Andy McNulty commenting in there, who works for SSE Electricity, says, Mr. Neal, a happy bunny tonight. I am so far. Andy, I hope you're well. Adam Burns says, no Limerick team in LOI again this year, question mark.
Well, I don't. I'm still hopeful there will be a Limerick team, Adam. But I don't know. The fixtures are actually due out fairly soon, so I haven't heard what's going to happen. There are two applications. There's one from Limerick FC and Pat O'Sullivan, who was basically in the league up until 2019. And then there's an application for a senior men's team from Treaty United, who were in the women's league last year and had originally tried to get into the men's league as well last season. So I actually don't know where both those applications sit. Ideally, I'd like to see both sides come together and have one Limerick team in the league. I don't think the FAI are going to let two teams in, but I certainly hope there will be a Limerick team in the league for 2021. But I don't know what's going to happen at this stage. But I'm assuming we will find out pretty soon. But I'm not aware of anything to say who the extra team, or possibly there's room, I think, for three teams, but I don't see three teams coming into the first division. But I don't know who the 10th team are going to be, assuming that Shamrock Rovers 2 are not going to be in the first division for 2021, which is my understanding of the situation. But maybe someone knows more than me and what's going to happen.
I don't think Shamrock Rovers 2 are going to be there because they've loaned out Brandon Kavanagh to Bray, so that for me pretty much says to me that they're not going to have a team, because why would they get rid of basically Shamrock Rovers 2 player of the year, basically, wasn't he, this season? So
yeah, he was. He's a very talented player. Yeah, I mean, it is my understanding, it was said at the end of the season that they wouldn't be coming back for this year. And I think that's what the other First Division clubs were expecting as well, that there would be a new club in the league. And I was certainly hoping and expecting that new club would be from Limerick. And I haven't heard who that new club is going to be. But we'll wait and see. But I'm still hopeful there will be a Limerick team, but I don't know, and I don't know when it's actually going to be announced. But I did see that the fixtures are going to be out in about just over a week or so. So obviously we'll know who the club is then. I don't think licensing has been done yet or completed, but we often have the fixtures out before the licenses are awarded. But I presume they're going to have to say who the club is, even if it's subject to licensing.
yeah, just some more good defender there. But Seamus Coleman, Simon Campbell says, is Gary planning on going to Serbia to cover the game, or is this a non-runner? Pretty sure you're going, aren't you? You're booked.
Well, I'm hoping to go, Simon. I don't know at this stage. I have flights booked to the game, but obviously with all these new variants and lockdowns and everything, I'll have to make a decision closer to the time. So who knows what it's still 2 months ago, so who knows what the state of things. It's good to see the COVID numbers going down, but I suppose if the match was on at the moment, there's no way I could go. But hopefully it'll be a lot better in a few weeks, and I really want to go anyway.
Yeah, so basically what he's saying is if he can go, he will go.
Yeah.
Sean O'Donovan says he'll go with you.
Cheers, Sean. See you there.
And then Charles Abraham says, I'm hoping to watch Ronaldo turn Duffy inside out at the Aviva later on in the year. I'm not. I hope Shane Duffy, gets right into him, really. Although we have to be wary of so many of their other players. Bruno Fernandes, you've seen today, bang in one against Liverpool.
They have so many talented players.
Bernardo.
Bernardo Silva, João Felix. So it's scary. I think Portugal have got to be hot favourites, I think, to win the group. I'd love to see us. Well, actually, one thing, that game in November, I think, whatever about March, I would hope that we would have a full house and we'd be able to have full crowds in the Aviva by November. The plan is we'd all have a jab in our arms by then, and I don't see any reason why we couldn't be planning to be in the Aviva for the Portugal game in November. What a match that would be, and what a chance that would be for the whole country. I mean, it looks like it could well be the autumn before we can get back to having full crowds at games. Maybe I'm even being optimistic at that. Who knows with all these new variants? But anyway, I'm hopeful that would be some occasion to have Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes et al. Coming to Dublin in November, and hopefully we can all be there. We can have a full house in the Aviva, and hopefully we're still in contention to win the group and qualify for the World Cup.
Charles says Ruben Diaz as well, who's obviously been brilliant for Manchester City so far this season.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, look, the talent they have is unbelievable. I mean, you probably look at the bench when we play Portugal in September and November and say everyone on that bench should probably be in our starting 11. But it's one thing I will be hoping for is the Portugal actually beat Serbia, because I've said this before as well. After we play Serbia, they entertain Portugal, and then they're away to Azerbaijan. So they've got a really tough run of games in March. So hopefully we can take something off them. Then Portugal beat them, and then hopefully they lose or draw in Baku, and they could already be in a bad way come the end of March, which would be fantastic for us.
Yeah, just there's a couple of substitutions coming on there. I think that Thierry Small is coming on. He's officially the youngest player to ever play for Everton now. That lad's coming on. I think he's a fullback. Highly rated. A lot of teams are in for him at the moment. So he's on there, youngest Everton player ever. There you go. Yeah, look, I think we'll worry about Portugal closer to the time. They might have some injuries and stuff like that when the time they come around. Not that I'd be wishing that on anyone, but if they have injuries and stuff like that, it's obviously going to bode well for Ireland. So we'll just wait and see what happens there, you know. If we can try and stop the supply to Ronaldo, that'll be the main danger, I think.
Well, that's Bruno Fernandes you're trying to stop, is it? You know.
And Bernardo Silva.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of football. Portugal have to play in the Euros as well, so it'll be interesting they've obviously got a lot of qualifiers before they play us, even in September, and a lot of competitive games. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. I'm sure they're probably more focused on the Euros at this stage than on the World Cup qualifiers. So they've got a very tough group. They're in a group with Germany and France. So they'll even find it difficult to get out of that group, or you could have a very big casualty at the group stages in the Euros. And but certainly it'll be very interesting to keep an eye on them. And you might even have Portugal coming to Dublin in June, because the runners-up in that group come to Dublin for the round of 16. Well, that's if the Euros are even on in Dublin in June. And I don't know if we'll have fans at the Euros either. But anyway, there's a lot of ifs in there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point in talking about it because we don't know what's going to happen with it, first of all. I think, was it you I was speaking with the other day? We were saying that they're going to be looking to trial it maybe in March for fans, for the Aviva Stadium.
Yes. There was a story that UEFA are hoping. Well, I believe UEFA are going to make a decision on March 5th on whether to move it to one country. And a lot of reports in the last week or 10 days seem to be suggesting that it'll go to one country. Maybe that makes more sense with COVID, but also part of that would be that some of those reports were saying that UEFA do hope and expect countries to allow limited fans at least, and possibly trial that in March. Now, I'm only guessing here, and I'm not a medical expert, and I'm not involved in the FAI or anything, but I would be amazed if we have any fans in the Aviva in March for either game. A month ago, 6 weeks ago, I'd have been a lot more hopeful for that, but I don't see at this stage that fans will be allowed at the games in Dublin in March. Now, I know there's fans at the Super Bowl, and there are fans in certain places, but I think given that we've been very slow to allow fans in, our government has been slow to allow fans in, even with lower COVID numbers, I don't see fans in March at the Aviva. So from that perspective, if UEFA are looking at moving the whole tournament or moving a lot of the games, we may end up missing out on games in Dublin, which would still be a big disappointment for me. I mean, I'd still like to see the games in Dublin. Obviously, it would have been absolutely amazing had we qualified and we would have been had our own fans at the games. Obviously, that's not going to happen now. But I would still like to see the games go ahead in Dublin. But it's judging by reports, judging what Karl-Heinz Rummenigge of Bayern Munich had said during the week, that he expects UEFA to move it to one country. And it seems like that'll be either England or Russia. And, well, Russia are still allowing fans, I believe. They had fans at the Champions League. And I know the UK are I think they're third best in the world rolling out the vaccine. So they may be more, I don't know looking for the English word for it, but they may be more open to talking to UEFA and agreeing to allow fans for June, maybe 30-50% capacity. So I don't know, possibly you're looking at a tournament in England in June and July.
Well, let's wait and see. Again, it's going to be time will tell, I suppose, on that one. So the camera's acting the maggot there, fixed it there. Someone says, Michael Doyle says, would you have Conor Ronan in the Ireland squad with small bone injury, etc.? No, not right now. He's not ready for the senior team.
I don't know how he's even playing with Grasshopper Zurich. I haven't actually, must admit, I haven't been following and see how they're doing and if he's playing with them every week. I haven't read too much of it, but so yeah, I think there's probably too many ahead of him at the moment. But I don't know, Michael, do you keep an eye on them and how's he doing and how are they doing?
Yeah, exactly. I think he was out injured or something because he had a post up the other day just saying it was great to be back. So I think he might have been injured or something. Not 100% on that. So if you know, let us know in the comments. It's just coming up to the last couple of minutes in this game now. Everton are winning 3-0 and they'll be into the next round now of the FA Cup. Seamus Coleman has played brilliantly today, in my opinion, or tonight. And yeah, it's just good to see him back playing, and then obviously Everton getting a win. It's nice to see as well. So onwards and upwards.
Who have they got in the next round, Paul? I know the draw is already made. I can't remember who.
I forgot to check it earlier.
Okay.
FA Cup. I wonder if they'll give us the fixtures for the next. So it's going to be Everton against either Wycombe Wanderers or Spurs.
Oh. So we could have Seamus Coleman against Matt Doherty in the next round, assuming Spurs do be, or against Darrell Horgan. Who knows? Maybe you would expect Spurs to beat Wycombe. That's tomorrow night, I think.
Yeah, I think that's on BBC. Could be wrong in saying that now, so it could sit on BT or BBC, one or the other. But yeah, hopefully Seamus gets the better of Matt that day. That'll be good. On the way to Wembley.
So
yeah, someone said there Spurs in the next round, Sean said. Michael Doyle says so far he has made, this is Conor Ronan I think he means, so far he's made 12 appearances or more with 1 goal and 2 assists, I think. So he's doing alright, but still it's I just don't think he's ready. I think Jack Byrne is already ahead of him in the pecking order, and possibly Jamie McGrath. So it's one of those. If he comes back next season and starts doing it for Wolves, then yeah, get him in there.
Well, I mean, if he's playing it in the Swiss Premier League, which is a reasonable standard. So I don't know. Maybe I'm sure Stephen is keeping an eye on him. I'm sure there'll be access to all those games. He'll be getting copies of the games. He'll be able to watch him anyway. So if he's playing well and playing regularly, he may be worth a look or worth a shout. But he hasn't had a look in a senior level yet, and we have quite a number of midfield players already ahead of him. So probably March will be a bit too soon. I suppose although we're talking about Jack being in Cyprus, it does seem to be that we look probably closer to home, and we expect to see our players playing across the water and on our TV screens instead of maybe on our laptops.
Yeah. But again, it's another one, time will tell. We are going to jump off. The game is finished. It's finished 3-0 to Everton. They're into the next round now against Spurs, or Wickham, whoever wins that game tomorrow. But don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to check out Manscaped as well. Manscaped.com. Use the code IFFTV for 20% off and free shipping. Don't forget to give the video a like as well. And huge thanks to anybody who got involved in the comments. A big thanks from myself and Gary. We'll speak to you all soon. We'll have more watch-alongs during the week, and we'll talk to you then. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.